Hello and welcome to the FSF Podcast. I am Tim. I am your host, and I just want to remind you that this is the show that is made by nerds for nerds. So, welcome to the Nerdatorium. Our guest today is a longtime actress who has graced your television and movie screens for some time. Now, currently, you'll find her in the hit Apple TV Plus show called Murderbot. Now, if you haven't watched Murderbot yet, I'm going to politely and kindly suggest that you crawl out from under the rock in which you're living, go find this show and watch it. It is fantastic. It's easily one of my favorite shows of the year. The writing, we'll get into this in a little bit, but the writing top notch, the humor top notch. And anyway, I have more to say about that. But she plays Arada. You've definitely seen her in other shows though, like The 100, Lost in Space, The Handmaid's Tale, The Expanse, RoboCop, and that's just, I'm like scratching the very like tip of the list on IMDb. I am very excited to welcome Tattiawna Jones to the FSF Podcast. Welcome to the show, Tattiawna.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a nice little conversation before we came live here. That's not really live, recorded, edited, whatever we're doing here before we started this. And so I'm very excited about today's conversation. I think we're going to have a nice chat. So one of the things we always like to do is we always like to start off with I ask the same question of everybody when we first start, because I'm the type of person, Tattiawna, I like to know what makes people tick, why you do what you do. Why is it, I've always been very intrigued with that with people because it helps. I always feel like it helps me understand who they are, what they are, especially when they're doing something artistic, whether it's music or acting or artistry or whatever it may be. So in the story of Tattiawna Jones, how did we get here? What made you decide that you wanted to be an entertainer?
That's such a good question. I'll tell you a story, but I'll preface it by saying I don't recommend this method. I do not recommend this method. I'll start there. But this is how I came to it. I grew up in a very small town where really the only knowledge of anything outside of that town that I had was what I saw on television. So a very biased, very 80s induced, growing up in the 80s and 90s view of what the outside world was like. And then I went to public school and then high school. And in high school in grade 11, they brought us all into some sort of meeting and they said, okay, we're going to give you your course catalogs, or you have to choose what you want to do. Back in that time, at least at the school I went to, it felt like you had to pick your fate in grade 11. Like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything outside of this town. But then they laid these course catalogs out from all of the schools and the universities around. And I don't know who was writing copy for these course catalogs at the time, but I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm going through and every single thing I'm reading sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, I could be a pilot. I could be a this, I could be that, all the things that I've ever dreamt of, or even had like a whiff of, oh, I could be a mechanic, or like, oh, I could dance, or I could do all of these things. And as I'm going through this, I'm sitting there with my parents, just trying to decide, okay, what should I do? Where should my focus be? And I thought, if I want to do any or most of the things that I found interesting or wanted to start applying to, I would need about 7 or 8 lifetimes, because I think there were a few doctors in there. There were, dance was on the list, acting was for sure on the list. But then I thought, I started to narrow it down, and I went, you know what? If I was an actor, I bet you I could experience what it was like, or what it would be like to do all of these things, or to be people in all of these careers in one lifetime. And so that's ultimately how I ended up deciding. I don't recommend that at all, but that's ultimately how I ended up deciding. And then I went the theater school route and ended up applying to all the theater schools. I didn't get in anywhere except one place. I got in at York University and I went there. And so I started my acting training there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, though, you might not recommend it, but I actually think that's a really cool way to look at it, because, I think otherwise, I mean, realistically, if you think about it, if you're going to pursue all these other avenues, how much time would you have wrapped up in training, education, practical learning, things along those lines.
Not to mention the student loans alone would just nuts.
Yeah, that would be debilitating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's bad advice.
It's not bad advice. Here's why I say I don't recommend it, because I was very lucky. I started my education at York University, and then I went on to study with Ellis & Co Studios under the direction of Michelle Lonsdale-Smith, and then went on to be one of the founding members of Grace Moon Arts Company. And then from there, continued my education independently. But it was only by the grace of the universe that I ended up in the places that I was with the mentors that I had across the board, that I really had an introduction in a very insular environment like a theater school, which for me, coming from a small town and having the culture shock of a lifetime, moving to Toronto and going, oh my God, what is a Wendy's? These sorts of things. It was a great stepping stone for me, and to discover what acting was, what it meant, what went into it, that, it's not just whatever my small town mind thought it was from watching MTV and all the other bad television I loved back in the day, that it was something much more. And so by studying at York and then studying at Ellis & Co and continuing to study today, it was so important for me to, and I just have to thank the universe for that, to find those folks, because through them, I was able to explore and investigate and really fall in love with the craft of acting and the artistry of it. And then was fortunate enough to be able to work in the industry and find out what that was like. And have really building all of those things together as a whole craft that I now call my artistry. That's why I say I don't recommend it, because had I gone on just that whim, I would have had my butt handed to me several times. Not that I haven't, but it would have been possibly catastrophic. But I was very lucky to be taught by all the folks I was taught by.
Okay. All right. So let me follow up that question with this, because then you said that there was all these other disciplines that you were looking into, all these other avenues that piqued your interest. So if it hadn't been acting and you had to have narrowed down on one other thing, what was so acting was one. What was 1A? What was the thing that was waiting in the wings if acting didn't work out?
Oh gosh. I mean, I would have loved to have danced, I think. Okay. And then from dance gone into choreography. That would have been something. We didn't have, I had 7 kids in my graduating class. That's about how big, to give you an idea of how big our town was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So really small town. So we had hockey, we had figure skating and curling. And then maybe somebody's parent would do something for a season, and we would all go and join that thing. And, it was, folks who grew up in small towns will know what I'm talking about, that community when somebody's mom or somebody's dad decides they're going to run it. And we're like, yep, we're all joining.
Yeah. And I get it.
Yeah. Dance was definitely a passion of mine from when I was young. Which is why I was a skater. I skated when I was young. So I did that because we didn't have dance. It was the closest to dance that I could get. I loved it. It was so fun. And then later on, when I came to the city, I did dance recreationally. But I think had whatever, woulda, shoulda, coulda. But yeah, dance is definitely something that still to this day is very, very close to my heart. Every so often I'll pop into a dancing for old ladies class,
Nice.
So it's fun.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. I think it's funny, because you're talking about the size of your town, and I've always considered myself to be very small town. The town that I grew up in, the town that I currently live in, I moved away for a few years, and as soon as my wife and I had kids, we were like, yeah, let's go back to the small town. But I laugh because we have less than 2,500 people in the city proper,
right?
And I graduated with 93 people.
There you go.
And everybody's like, "Oh, you had such a small graduation class." I'm like, "Yeah, just what it is." And then it always kind of amuses me when I hear people like, "You had a really small graduation class. How many? 7?"
Yep. Yeah. 7 of us. Yep. And that was everyone. No one didn't graduate. That was all of us. We all graduated. Yeah.
It's always, it's not that often that I run into somebody. I'm like, oh, you have a small town, and it's actually smaller than my small town. All right, that's cool.
Where did you grow up? I have to ask now that we've been talking.
A little town called Newaygo, Michigan.
Newaygo, Michigan.
Yeah. So one of the great things about Michigan is we get to use our hand as a map.
Okay, show me this.
Because we're the mitten state, so I live right here.
Okay.
So right about there.
Funny. I kind of know that now that you did the hand thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a little bit of an idea now.
I've drove past there. Yeah. So if you're familiar with Grand Rapids area, Grand Rapids, Michigan, we're about 45 minutes northwest of Grand Rapids. So we're very much out in the middle of the Manistee National Forest. Very wooded area. One of the claim to fames of our county is that you're never more than a mile from some body of water, whether it's a lake, a river, a stream, a
fjord,
pond, puddle, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always water somewhere. We're a very water sport heavy community.
Did you do water sports when you lived there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have wave runners, and I do. Okay, I mean, those are my water sports.
Yeah.
And I'm not really big into fishing. I have a few friends who are, and I have been known to go out, drink a few barley pops and drown some worms, but that's about as good as I ever got at the fishing.
Great turn of phrase.
But I was there for immoral support, so
love it.
All right, so as we mentioned in the outset, we talked about the show Murderbot, which is now on Apple TV Plus. And seriously, guys, if you haven't watched it, go watch the show. It's so freaking amazing. I love how beautifully cast this show is. Everybody is perfectly picked for the role. I mean, there are other shows where I watch it and I go, I can imagine somebody else on that show. I don't know who I would pick differently for anybody in this show. I think it's cast so well. And you play the character Arada. One of the things that first got my attention to you and what was your character was happening is when you and your wife on the show were entering into a contractual throuple, and you and your wife in the show were
my partner. They play my partner. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Your partner in the show. We're excited, but for very different reasons, and and yeah, it just amused me greatly. And so that's where I started paying attention to those characters a little bit. Each episode, I was trying to, pick out something different about each character. But that was when I first kind of zeroed in on you and your partner and going, oh, that's kind of fun. Just the excitement of the contract, it just amused me. But anyway, I was hoping that you could talk to us about your character, Arada, and how you were able to bring that character to life for us all to appreciate. What did you focus in the writing of that character to help you?
I agree with you. I have to say, I agree with you. I think it's brilliantly cast. And that certainly, as an artist, was a huge gift. And, certainly it's something that I always dream of and fantasize about. I don't know if anyone reads something and goes, oh, everyone's probably going to be a bummer. No, we all read it and, in our minds, everyone is amazing. And then I got there on the day and I was so grateful to be in a room full of incredible artists and mentors. Yeah. And you were speaking about Sabrina Wu, who plays my partner. Incredibly talented human being, writer, comedian, actor, and just like at such a high level, and also lovely person. Like we all just got on so well outside of Action and Cut, inside Action and Cut, but also outside of Action and Cut. It made the job fun, fluid, deep. We were able to go to places because the trust was there, the communication was there. Akshay Khanna, who plays the thrup and the thruple. I don't know. The thrup and the thrup. Oh gosh.
I don't know the technical term for that person, but they are forevermore known as the thrup. So we're going to go with that.
I love it. I love that it started here on FSF Podcast. So just he's incredible as well, and so funny, and they bring such a uniqueness, and I mean everybody on the show has such a unique tone and style of comedy that I think when I see them all together, not to mention the edit is so brilliant. When all of it is together and the way that they put it together, it's just, yeah, it's like music. Watching it is like music, you know, it's so beautiful and all the notes are going at the same time and none is out of tune. And yeah, so in order to create Arada, of course, this series is based on a beautiful book series, which also, if you haven't read the book series, The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, give yourself that gift. I didn't know the series before I was auditioning for this part. And so when I got the material and started doing my research, I found the novellas and I was like, okay, I'll read the first one. And then it's like, you can't just have one. Like, you must read and continue reading and continue. I just devoured them. They're so intelligent and deeply personal. I don't know of, there was nothing in the books that I didn't recognize, either in myself or in something that I had experienced or a friend I knew or something that was so beautiful. Arada is an amalgamation of a few characters in the book. So I had such a wealth of information to draw on already. I was able to use that, do my own research, and then collaborate with Chris and Paul Weitz, who are showrunners, who directed episodes, who are just incredible leaders. Of course, Alex, who just has he does the heavy lifting in such a graceful and beautiful way, playing inside that environment with Noma Dumezweni, who is just, oh my gosh, Noma is so beautiful and so kind, and she is the elder that I wish for everyone to experience, whether you become that person or whether you get to interact with that person. Like, having met Noma Dumezweni, just I'm better for it. Full stop. I'm just better for it. Yeah. And Tamara Podemsky, I mean, who is now my sister from another life. I refuse to leave her alone. I was watching her son, actually, and then we were the ones who were buying Funko Pops behind Mom's back. It's totally my fault, Tamara. I take full responsibility. It's fine. My arm was not twisted. I take full responsibility. And then of course David Dastmalchian, who is he's done so much work. I don't know how he's able to do everything he does. He writes comic books and he acts in everything, and he does a bunch of charity work and gives back to his communities and invents things to create new community and does create community wherever he goes. He's such a beautifully vulnerable, talented human and artist that when you're in an environment with those kinds of people, it made me better. It made my job easier. It made me want to come up to that level, to dig deeper and support that cast in the best way that I could. So yeah, I think it's not just one thing. It's definitely a cocktail of all of those things that make something like Murderbot happen.
Yeah, it's a fantastic series. And you mentioned too the books by Martha Wells. By the way, guys, if you're an audiobook listener, the first book in the series is available on Audible right now for free. So, which is what how I'm listening to it, because I was like, well, yeah, I'll take a free book, and I've been listening to it. And it's very well paced, that's how I consume books. I used to be a sit down and read type of guy.
Yeah, me too.
I just don't have the time that I would like to be able to. So when I'm in the car, I put on an audiobook. I'm at work walking around, because I work at a car dealership. While I'm at work, I have my AirPods in and I'm listening to a book because I'm doing my work at the dealership and things like that. So yeah, sitting down and having the time in the oh boy, my brain just completely spaced out. Hammock. That's the word that I was looking for. Hammock in the backyard underneath the maple tree, which is where I used to just lay down and read my books. And this, I just don't have that kind of time anymore. But If you're a book fan and you like audiobooks, go to Audible, check it out. It may be on other sites as well, other audiobook sites, but it is definitely free on Audible at the moment. So, but yeah, definitely something to check out. And I do like the fact that, the start of when you start the books, the start of the series is very similar. So I feel like you're jumping right into the book right away. And I think that, the writers did a really good job of tying you into the book right away. So you get right into the story, right into the characters, and the world development, the character development is just so on point. It gets your attention right away, which I think is always a plus nowadays, because we're in a generation of attention spans that are about 2 seconds long. And if they can capture your attention right away, which I feel they do in this series, I think that's always a plus nowadays. We're in the TikTok generation. Everything, if they don't have you in a minute,
yeah,
you're not going to have them. So
you and I aren't in the TikTok generation, but we
are
we are TikTok adjacent. Let's say we're TikTok.
I'm in the. Did I hit that button right? I think it posted. Yeah, is that? Okay, cool. Yeah, all right.
That's the community I belong to too.
Yeah. And then I go talk to my teenage daughter. Yeah. All right, honey, daddy needs help again here.
Exactly.
Make it better. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Love it.
All right, Tattiawna, whether it's Arada on Murderbot or like Lily on Handmaid's Tale, preparation and readiness obviously are going to play a huge role in making a character come alive, be believable, and so that what you're putting into it is something that we as an audience will believe. So when it comes to preparation and readiness for you, do you have a set process for a character, or do you change it up based on how you see the character or the way the story is written?
I have pillars. I have a process. Yes, the short answer is yes, I have a process. And I'm nerdy about acting. And so I like the dig. I like the investigation. And then there are certain homeworks that, getting the flip off book. Don't go in there without having your words off. Get them off. Because it's so much more fun once I'm off. Once the words are there, then there's no thinking about the words. Then I can just play and dig and discover new things. And so that, researching everything I can, finding out what's out there, finding out what isn't out there, asking questions. Why do they do this? Why do they do that? Talking to people, collaborating with folks I have access to. There are things, and those are some of the things, of course, not all of the things, but some of the things that I will do with every part, whether it's an audition with 0 lines or if it's all monologues in a Shakespeare play, and everything in between and everything outside of that. I've, as mentioned before, I'm an old lady now. So I have been doing this for a hot minute, and I have been lucky enough to develop a process over the years. I certainly didn't have one when I started, but I come from an athletic background. And so I know the importance of training for anything that I want to get better at. I was had folks around me and knew enough to give myself the help in that way, to find the training that I needed. And then developing like what I find works for me and what doesn't over the years. And it feels a bit more like painting now. I know I'm using a lot of metaphors and a lot of hands, but here we go. It does feel more like painting now, or jazz, or, where the notes are there, and then I can go to this and go to that and jump around a bit and not, and let things go a little easier. If there's something that I don't know, it's less of a panic now. And I think that is a function of age. That is a function of doing it over and over for a certain length of time, that it's a gift when you're like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it, because there's no point in worrying about it. Something will happen on the day, or somebody will tell me that's terrible, please do it another way, which is it's great, which will happen and has happened. Or somebody will say great, or somebody will say nothing. And all of those things actually do inform my process for all kinds of reasons, not necessarily good or bad, but for all kinds of reasons. But yeah, definitely a process that I have developed over the years. Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that you said that you liked getting negative feedback. I think far too often everybody, people we thrive on positive feedback, of course, but I think far too often the negative feedback, or what we would also call criticism, constructive criticism of what you're doing, I think that's such a vital thing in anything that we do, whether it's me as an interviewer and a podcaster, and I send stuff out to different people every once in a while, just be like, hey, listen to this with an objective ear. Tell me what I could be doing better, what needs to change, all these different things. So I do like hearing the fact that not only do you it sounds like not only do you welcome it, but you embrace it and you use it as part of your process.
Well, I don't know if I like negative feedback, but
nobody likes it, but
that's true, because then, there can be negative feedback that is just negative and not constructive. But like you were describing, where you're sending it, there are certain people that will be courageous enough to be honest with you. And I think that you're exactly right. And I feel the same, where that is very important to me when I find those people, and to develop, I don't want to say tolerance, but to develop it's a muscle of filtering things through quickly. What is this? Somebody said something nice about me. Now my head is huge, and now I'm completely out of the scene for the next work, and now I'm on Mars, and I'm forgetting lines and all that happens. Or somebody said something negative, and the same result. So over the years, learning my instrument as an artist, learning. Sure. My own humanity, and understanding a character's humanity, and thus my own humanity, and thus others' humanity, and all of the things definitely help in that recognition of when feedback is constructive, like you said, and whether it's I'm trying, as I get older, are you finding this as you age, that I'm trying to get away from good and bad, because I don't know if that exists. There's some sort of thing that's like
so much gray.
It's gray, and like the things that are constructive and the things that are not constructive, and the things that are destructive and the things that are constructive. I think it's somewhere more there. So I'm trying to get better at that and bringing that to my work.
No, I agree. I think we've gotten to a point, especially because I'm 48 now, and I think I've gotten to a point where I look at things of what value does this add to me? And so whether it's feedback on something I'm doing at work, something I'm doing here, what value does that have for me? And learning to filter out the negative for negative sake. Whereas years ago, I would have just like, oh my God, they don't like this. What am I doing wrong? What do I need to fix? And it's not, part of that is just, me being Gen X and just going, I just don't care anymore. And some of it legitimately is just going, you know what? I'm going to make that change. I'm going to make some changes here. But I'm still going to do just the best I can with what I've got. And I think learning, part of that aging process is learning to accept the things that are of value to you, being able to reject the things that aren't of value to you. But also learning to work inside of the parameters of which you have physically been given.
Yes.
And
when
that
class coming out, I can't wait. This is good. I like this. This first episode is great.
It took a lot of time, and there's a very nice counselor I talked with for a couple of years that helped me sort that all out.
Yes.
But yeah, that's it's a learning process, and it's a hard one.
Yeah,
it's a hard one
because it involves I have to examine things outside and inside myself.
For sure, yeah.
I don't know about you, but the things inside, oh boy, don't even hold a candle in terms of level of difficulty. It's way more difficult to examine inside than outside.
Hey, yeah, I'm going to be a bigger jerk about me than you're going to be, and yes. I'm going to be harder on me than you're going to be.
Yes, and also, where are my blind spots when it comes to myself? And
Absolutely.
Am I that person who's doing this and this? And I've had to have those reckonings, and I'm sure there are more to come. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so with that thought in mind, change of topic.
Hmm.
So, legally, I have to say that it's no longer called internet stalking. I did research on you. That's what the lawyers told me. So I looked up Tattiawna Jones for research purposes, and I saw that you share quite a few photos of your dog.
Oh boy.
We are very dog friendly here. I saw the blanket moving, and I was assuming that was the dog.
Look at this mess. Look at this, like, gorgeous mess of a dog. Pete, would you like to say hi?
Hey, puppy.
Who's this? Are you gonna come and say hi? Oh, do you live a very bougie life?
Hey, puppy.
Yeah, you do.
But I was hoping that you would tell our audience about your dog, because I love the name of your dog, and that's just fantastic.
Thank you. This is Prosciutto. Prosciutto. Not having it. No, she's not contacted to be here today, and so she won't be. That's the deal. Out of the two of us, she looks like she makes the most money. What else can I tell you about Prosciutto? Pete, would you like to speak for yourself, or would you like me to speak for you? Not speaking.
Prosciutto's like, I was taking a nap, so whatever.
That's it. I mean, she's the best. I'm definitely that lady who, I'd be lying if I said we didn't have at least one of the same outfits. This is the same breed of dog as Tika the Iggy. Do you remember in COVID when Tika the Iggy like blew up and is it too much? Is it too much? We follow that dog. By we, I mean me. Of course, she doesn't have access to the internet, thank God. But yeah.
But if she did.
But if she did, let me tell you. I was like, you would have her on the show if she said it would be very different. But yeah, she's the sweetest thing. She'll be 7 next month.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you have pets?
I have 2 dogs and a cat.
Oh, amazing.
So I've got a cat. I have a co-host. Her name is Kathleen. She's not able to be here today, but Kathleen calls him a cloud. I call him a stray that wound up at my back door from the cat distribution system.
Got it.
And so he showed up and decided he didn't need to leave. And so we have him. His name is Seven, by the way, because he's polydactyl. So he looks like he's running with mittens. And he's got like one janky claw right there. But yeah, so murderous cat I've ever had. Holy crap.
I was like 7 of 9. Like, I'm such a dweeb. I was like,
honestly,
the first
that's kind of where it came from, because he was 7 of. So he had 8 claws. It was like 7 of 8. So
7 of 8. That's an even better name for a cat. 7 of 8.
Yeah, he's 7 of 8.
Almost cut apart, but it went to 7 of 9.
And then we have a pit bull. She's a American Staffordshire Terrier, to be exact. She's a Staffy. Her name is Mia. So she's the sweetest dog in the world, but
they
also
always are. That breed
possibly the stupidest dog I've ever met in my life.
Hey, we won't hold that against her.
No, I don't. I do at times, but it's also hilarious. That dog has run into a closed screen door more than I can.
Oh my gosh! Classic.
And then she just jumps back and looks at you like, I thought it was gonna be open this time. And then we have a corgi, and her name is Toast.
Toast, so sweet.
Because her butt looks like a loaf of bread.
A corgi tushy is something to behold. It is just epic in ways that I cannot describe.
It cracks me up because, like, when we I let them out to go to the bathroom, they come back in, and she's sitting there waiting for her treat, and you can just watch her little booty cheeks go like this because she's so excited. She's wiggling her. Yeah, she's wiggling her whole backside.
Oh, the corgi twerk. We love a corgi twerk. We love it.
Yep. She twerks like a boss too. So
I bet.
So, but yeah. So I always ask about people's pets because we're very pet friendly, and as I was talking to this about with Tamara last week, I am that guy. Like, if I see you in public and you have your dog, I will be that guy who walks up to you and says, "Can I pet your dog?" This
is great. Okay, we need buttons because I am that guy too.
Yeah.
So we need buttons so that, I don't know, folks aren't like, should we have that person helped in some other way that maybe think like, no, I'm fine.
I just need the audio from that clip. Can I pet that dog?
Yes.
Because that's me. That's my wife. My wife. We were at so in West Michigan. There's a big festival in Holland, Michigan, called the Holland Tulip Time Festival.
Oh,
and it's so very, very cool. Big parade, lots of outdoor sales, and and lots of really cool exhibits and all these different things. Which when you're ever in Michigan in the springtime and you're in the Holland area, go check it out. It's not quite the same in the movie, the Holland that just came out, but that's where it was filmed, Holland, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very Dutch influenced area. There's windmills and they do tulip time dances with the wooden shoes and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, told you all that so I could tell you this. We were like walking down the street. Everybody has their dogs. And I'm literally walking 2 feet. Hi, can I pet your dog? Hi, can I pet your dog? Hi, my wife is like sitting down on a park bench waiting for me.
Holding your bags.
Yeah.
Holding your bags.
Yeah. So I catch back up to her and she's like, it's a good thing I love you.
Because I would have lost you in a crowd.
Yeah, I'd have been gone.
I love it. I love it. And I also love that was the best part of the festival for you. I love that. And I totally
It was great. My wife's like, oh, we had such a nice dinner with all of our friends and we did this and we did that. And I'm like, yeah, did you see the Great Dane that I got to give ice cream to?
You're right.
Yeah. That was my highlight. By the way, this Great Dane was massive. His name was Blue. And
was he a blue one? Was he a blue one?
Yeah, he's like a bluish gray color, and they just named him Blue.
Of course.
And he loves ice cream cones, so they bought him an ice cream cone, and they're like, I'm like, how much do I give him? And they're like, he's gonna take the whole thing.
Incredible.
And
I really hope Blue is not diabetic, but I love that for him.
I think he's about to be, but
yeah, like the levels of ice cream we're eating.
A little pre-diabetic, but hey, he was an older dog, so let him run with it.
That's it.
So, all right. All right. So we also mentioned at the outset that you've been in a bunch of these other shows, a lot of big name shows, a lot of some very high billing projects. Now, whether you were in the lead or not, but is there a project out there that never just quite seemed to take off the way you thought it would, didn't get the attention that you thought it should? Like something, I call them heart projects. Is there something that you poured your all into that it just didn't get the loving it needed? So if there is that, let's throw it out there now so people can know about it and go give it some attention.
Oh, I love that question. Yes, there were many, and I'm sure there will continue to be many.
Sure.
I work in the theater a lot. I do independent whenever I can. I love it. I'm always interested in new artists who are making new things, folks who are just starting out in the film industry or who are doing performance art or who are doing theater. And I've been very lucky to be able to work in all of those spaces. I think to name them would be would be too many because there are lots. But I think as an artist, those voids or chasms that end up in your heart, in my heart, are aid to the fuel that pushes me forward, that makes me want to continue doing those projects and to continue to be in those environments. So what I can do is I'll tell you my two new favorite artists that I'm looking at, who are independent artists, who are working in the business. They're actors, they're directors, they are producers, they are many things that I'm sure, talents that they have not revealed to me yet, which I will have conversations with them about. But Leah Doz is a Canadian artist, incredible human being. If you look her up on IMDb, her credits are all there. She is an incredible showrunner. I've worked with her as a director. I've worked with her as an actor. She's insane in terms of talent, in terms of professionalism, in terms of like just a dream person to be able to collaborate and know on a set. And then the other person is Michael Davidson Ayres. We got to work together on Wayward, and meeting this person was we just clicked the same. And Leah's the same. Leah and I have been friends for years and years and years. And so we've been able to watch each other's work and kind of support each other's work as, you know, one of us has something coming out, the next one has something coming out, somebody else is writing something. And Michael and I haven't known each other that long, but you know, when you meet an artist that shares the same passion as you, it's just something ignites. All the things, you know, the love, the joy, the support, the envy, the artistic jealousy, the push that makes me want to do better because I see them doing amazing things and I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm not working hard enough. Oh my gosh, there are so many things that I could be doing. And so, yeah, Leah Doz and Michael Davidson Ayres are two artists that I love to watch their work. I love to read their work. I go to their workshops whenever they have them. I'm sure they're going to find me for stalking at some point. Yeah, I love watching them and working with them whenever I can. So if you haven't seen those artists, check out their work.
Just tell them it's research and legally you're fine.
And do I have to do the air quotes?
It's helpful.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
I don't think contractually you have to do that, but I do understand it's helpful. But you know, I do it just so people know that it's truly research.
I love that. Love that.
All right, since we're talking about suggestions, you just gave 2 nice suggestions there. Let's go this route. What are you reading or listening to right now that you think everybody else should know about?
Oh, that's so good. I have to say, there's another. So I just read there's another friend I have to mention. His name is Matt Moreland. He's out of Hamilton. And I just read a short that he's about to do, which I will not say any more about for reasons of air quotes, etc. I'm doing this wrong, but you'll help me with it someday. I just read the short he's about to do, and it blew my mind. And we were talking about casting and, you know, shooting. And he and I worked together on a film by Sasha Lee Henry called Dinner with Friends. It'll be coming out soon. Again, that's all I will say because
Fair.
You know, I'm not good at these things, so I just say less for fear of revealing everything, because I do love to talk about it, and so I will only talk about it when permitted. But yeah, Matt and I met on that film, and then we actually did a performance piece together at an event called Film Exposed this past spring, like early spring. And he sent me his latest short to read, and I'm very excited about it. So this is not very helpful because I can't really tell you anything about it. And then but I can say, go look up Matt Moreland as well. Instagram, he has Instagram and is on IMDb, I believe, as well.
Okay. But it gives people something to look forward to. So there's that.
And I don't know, here's my millennial old Sabrina Wu, who plays my partner on Murderbot. That was my go-to person for like, what is this on the internet? I would just send them otter videos and they're like, what are you doing? The internet is made for so much more than this. I'm like, agree to disagree, but okay.
Made for cat, dog, and otter videos. I understand.
See, I knew you would understand, Tim. But anyway, all of the people that I mentioned are friends with me on Instagram. So for those who know how to do that and find them in my friend list or whatever it is, that might be a way to do it.
There we go.
If you know a better way, please do it a better way. Please do it the better way. But that's my remedial millennial offer.
No, that actually works really well, because what I'll do is down in the show notes down below, I'll put your suggestions down of follows, and I'll put their Instagram handles in there so people can go.
Oh, great. Yes.
So, yeah. All right, Tattiawna, it's time for a silly question.
Okay.
All right. Now, as mentioned previously, I have a co-host, Kathleen. Her and her daughter were out and about, and somebody asked her daughter this question, but not Kathleen. And Kathleen thought that was kind of rude and that you shouldn't age out of this question. So, Tattiawna Jones, what's your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, such a good question. I agree with Kathleen, and I am offended on her behalf that she was not asked. And Kathleen, I want to know your answer. Hit me up. I want to know your answer, Kathleen. What was your favorite dinosaur? Gosh, this is like a Sophie's choice of dinosaurs. It's like choosing your favorite. That's also not a fair question. Okay, so it changed so many times. I'm realizing at one point it was Stegosaurus.
Okay.
Another point it was Triceratops.
Okay.
I also should probably admit that The Land Before Time had come out when I was pretty obsessed with dinosaurs. So folks who were born around the time I was born will understand. What else? Of course, Brachiosaurus was a favorite at the time. And then Jurassic Park came out and I lost it for a Velociraptor. That was it. Everything was Velociraptors. And that was those were the favorites. Those were the tops. I didn't want to be Team T-Rex because T-Rex was so mainstream. I was like, no, I'm gonna go herbivore, and then I, ended up in a full-on Velociraptor phase. But
sure,
I think I will have to go
as
with
one does.
That will be my final answer.
All right, that's honestly, I think you are the first person to say Velociraptor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a lot of T-Rex, a fair number of Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
A few in my Triceratops buddies.
Yep.
And
are you a Triceratops fan? Is that your number one?
Huge Triceratops fan. Reason being, grew up. I still think they're one of the coolest animals.
Like fascinating.
Is the rhino.
I was gonna say, didn't they kind of into rhinos?
Yeah, and so I was always like, oh, that's a really cool. I always thought rhinos were really cool. Like, they have this big, massive plated body and all this skin armor and everything they got going on, and then they have this massive horn of destruction. And I was like, oh, those are really cool. And then I found out about Triceratops and I was like, yay, triple rhino. I was like 6 when I found out about
but then what's the other one too? It has like multiple horns. There's like, it looks like Triceratops, but it kind of has like more horns. Was that a real one or was that AI? I don't even know. Maybe it was an AI thing that was made up.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Have you seen a rhino in real life? Have you gone to see?
Yeah, at the zoos and things. Yeah, that's as close as I've gotten. They had some a couple years back. We took the family to Disney and went to Animal Kingdom there, and Disney has a really nice animal exhibit there. And the animals, instead of being in cages, are able to free roam, and so there's matter of fact, our trolley, bus, whatever you want to call it, came to a dead stop because the rhino decided it was going to lay down the road in front of us.
Yeah, as you do when you.
Well, yeah, I mean it was a hot Floridian day.
Yep.
And the rhino head was like, "Look, I'm chubby. Leave me alone. It's hot as balls out here," and it just crashed out. So exactly. I was like, I get you, rhino. All right. But yeah, that's as close as I've ever come to a rhino, which was I was about 10 feet away, and that was close enough.
It's so special to be that close to them. They're very special.
It was exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time because I was like, if he stands up and decides he really doesn't like the heat and gets really pissed off, we're all done for because he can just charge right through it because it's an open-sided cart thing, that you're riding through on. But apparently they weren't concerned about that. So
I was working at a couple of wildlife reserves in Zimbabwe, and we were in a place that had white rhinos, protected white rhinos. Nice. Yeah, and one had a calf. We were able to get pretty close. And it's such a humbling experience to be close to, but like you say, something that has been around since forever ago.
Yeah.
It's so special to just experience.
Yeah.
That.
I'd been giddy. I'd been giggly.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
So good.
Oh boy. Well, Tattiawna, thank you so much. I'm sorry.
I said that was a great, silly question.
We like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
We like it. All right. Well, Tattiawna, thank you so much for being on the FSF podcast today. Where can our listeners go to find out more about you, your work, anything else you've got coming up?
Anything. I'm gonna do my best not to spoil anything, but anything else. Oh, I post all the work that we do on Instagram and on my IMDb. So those will probably be the two best places to find out what's coming out next. Which there are some other projects in addition to the rest of the episodes of Murderbot that I'm very excited to have come out this year and next year. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very cool. I'll make sure to put those down in the show notes down below, along with your suggestions that you gave earlier. That way our listeners, our viewers can go check those out.
Amazing.
Now, guys, if you've made it this far in the interview and you haven't already followed our show on YouTube, now is a great time to click that follow button. It's a free action. You don't even have to cry to get a free action in this game. You can just click that button. And it's the most important thing you can do to help our show to continue to grow, to make sure that we get amazing guests like Tattiawna Jones here this week to sit down and have these great conversations and have some funny moments for you guys to be able to listen to. So please consider following our show. Like I said, it helps more than I'll ever be able to tell you. And make sure that you go check out Tattiawna on her Instagram page and check out the people that she suggested as well. So again, Tattiawna, thank you for being on the show. Everyone, thank you for listening in, and may the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper. Goodbye.
I need to do the thing. What's this? Oh. Thanks, Tim.
Copyright 2025 FSF Podcast. Reference any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.